every week, man. How's this weekend?
Do you even have to ask me that question, Greg?
I gotta ask. I gotta ask.
You were the premier
protocol,
and you were the premier photographer for the second annual Heart and Soul Festival, Music Festival. Hey man, I got to tell you, man, Paul Billings put on a doggone show.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that was something that the community needed. You even mentioned last week that this would make Apopka in Central Florida on the map as a destination city for music festivals and things like that. And I think that this weekend showed just that Apopka, Florida, with this outdoor amphitheater is ready for the big time.
Oh, ready for the big time. But Greg, you know what, man? When we talk about that, let's even back things up a little bit when we talk about how Central Florida is a premier place for you to come and be entertained. Hey, man, what was that award Miss Lady Drina just won this weekend?
She won the Montgomery Celestial Nights and
Titantral
All Water
Celestial,
and Sea,
all of that good
of the
stuff.
World Award.
So, listen, let me just help you guys out because I'm very proud of myself sometimes, you know. But this weekend I was in Montgomery, Alabama for the Premier Gospel Music Awards, where I actually hosted that award show. So I was the host and the red carpet interviewer as well, and I happened to be nominated for 2 awards, and I won one of those awards, and it was Terrestrial Radio Announcer of the Year in Montgomery, Alabama.
Listen, Lady Drina, if you were Brother Armando, you'd be giving yourself a round of applause right now.
You know what? Let me just be a Brother Armando right quick
and give yourself some applause.
Give yourself some applause. There we go.
Lady Drina, I'm going to go ahead and back up because I was telling Greg we couldn't talk about how the city of Apopka, how the amphitheater as a destination venue has been put on the map. But yeah, we're talking about you because you're a star. But then I see, and I'm not going to spill the beans too soon, but we have 2 folk that's in the engineering booth with you. Both of those are stars as well.
They're stars. One of them I know very, very well because 2 of my kids attended his school for years.
Well, the audience is going to have an opportunity to hear him at the bottom end of this show. And then who people will hear on the top of the show is somebody that we had in here, Greg, about
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, absolutely. Yeah.
So we're not going to give up the beans, but all we're saying is you a star, and then we're looking in the engineering booth and we see 2 other stars in there.
I mean, are we not talking about the 2 stars that's sitting at the main table here? I mean, I'm not sure forever commissioner and the one and only attorney that can help anybody.
They can help anybody.
He can help anybody.
Hey, speaking of that, you know I got to give my friend a good plug. Attorney Greg Jackson, who also works for Dan Newland. And there's a lot of folk out there that be calling me and calling you, Drina, talking about, hey, I need a good attorney. Hey, so Greg Jackson, how can they reach you?
Listen, if anyone wants to reach me, if they have any legal questions, all they have to do is hit 407-564-6604. That's my personal cell number. They can call, they can text me on that number almost anytime. I ain't gonna say anytime.
I
got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning one time, and I was like, hold on,
I'm gonna tell y'all to text him first.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Text him
Say that
first.
number again, like you tell me, this radio.
Yeah, 407-564-6604. You know, and it's interesting. I'm gonna tell you what's interesting is that the young man that's in the booth, there was an issue that happened this weekend, and guess who called me on my personal cell?
Okay.
And he will tell you I was very responsive.
Wow,
I picked up the line, I called, I followed up, and everything like that. So really and truly, that is the best way to reach me. And Lady Drina, you're absolutely, and thank you for mentioning that. Please text me first. Because I do not, if I don't recognize the number, don't shake your head.
Hey, Lady Drina. Now, congratulations once again to you.
Thank you.
But listen, though, we've been calling this for years, Lady Drina.
Yeah.
We told you this was your assignment years ago that you were going to start finding success. Not to say that you didn't have it anyways, but we just saw the energy, the ideas, all the stuff that you bring to the station and how you are branching out and touching other areas. We told you there. Listen, we were trying to get on your coattails. So.
I'm amazed and I'm honored because I've been blessed to have awards from Atlanta, Texas, Montgomery now, so many different states, not just, Central Florida. And so it's absolutely amazing.
But Lady Drina, let me just go ahead and say you help set the pace for being inspirational from this perspective. I mean, because I know people have a whole lot of other endeavors, but Greg and I have been here going on 5 years now, right, Greg?
Yeah, we're in our 5th year now.
Fifth year. This
Technically,
is
we're in
your
our
5th year.
Yeah.
And so I can say that, Greg and I can say that because we've been in here to see you put in the work.
Yeah.
And now it's paying off.
I'm grateful for that. Thank you
paying
so
off.
much. And listen, you guys gave me a platform a long time ago. Maybe y'all will bring me back. Long as y'all have, listen, let me put myself back in. As long as y'all have the stage turned away from the sun the next time, I'll be there.
Oh, hey, Greg,
Away from the sun.
yeah. Hey,
She
what
said
was that?
away from the sun.
Kidland Nelson Park, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
sure was. It
Hey,
sure
and
was.
as usual, she always does a great job.
Oh, no doubt, always.
Hey, well, once again, Miss Lady Drina, congratulations. And man, just let us bask in some of that light that you got going on there.
Let's do it.
Hey, well, Greg, man, we have a show tonight because we have 2 distinguished gentlemen that are going to be joining our platform tonight. But Greg, before we go on, we're gonna bump Miss Nicole up a little early.
Well, brother, Love, we can't have no show until folks know that
That's right.
now they're tuned in to 2 of the most influential voices in Central Florida on Monday Night Radio. Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo, guaranteed to raise your IQ 15 to 20 points.
Hold
And as a matter of fact,
It's
Brother
gonna
Love,
go up tonight because
as
we
a
got
matter
2
of
special
fact,
guests.
it's going to go up an extra 2.5
2.5.
points tonight.
Okay,
so
there you go.
17 and a half, 12 and a half to 17 and a half points tonight. So if you want to be a part of the night show, please listen in, but also feel free to dial that number 407-894-1680. Again, to be a part of the show, talk to the dynamic duo, 2 of the most influential voices in Central Florida on Monday Night Radio, Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo, 407-894-1680. And Brother Love, let's get it on.
Let's get it on. All right, let's get it on, and we're gonna bring on none other than Miss
Nicole knows.
What's going on tonight, Dynamic Duo? How are you all tonight? You recovered from your gospel
There you go.
from the Heart and Soul Festival? I was, first of all, Attorney Greg Jackson, your photos were amazing. I mean, I expected nothing less, but I was so excited for you to really, you've been really hitting the ground running with that. And I was just real excited for that opportunity for you. But you guys forgot one thing though.
Uh-oh.
The dance off among the mayors.
Hey, I don't know, Greg. I would give it to Brian, man. I'm gonna give it to Brian.
Only because of the shoes. Only because of the shoes. Only because of the shoes.
You ran out of time. It's all good. It's all good. But guys, I know we got a jam-packed show tonight, so I'm going to jump right into Nicole Knows tonight, raise some IQ points, and I know there's more to come throughout the show. We are less than a month away from the general election, and I just want to, tomorrow is, just want to let everybody know, if you haven't already, tomorrow is the voter registration deadline if you haven't done that. So if you want to be able to take part in the upcoming election, definitely want to take care of that tomorrow. You can confirm or check your voter registration status at registration.elections.myflorida.com/check voter status. And I know Doc Polite and our team is kind of taking notes on this. You can register to vote online at registertovoteflorida.gov/home. Voter registration applications may be submitted online, mailed, or delivered to your county supervisor of elections office. So you definitely want to check which county you're in to make sure you get to the right office there. To submit an application online, you will need to have your driver's license or Florida ID card, which are both issued by the the DMV when you go and get your driver's license or the ID. You'll need your issue date of that card and the last 4 digits of your social security number. If you do not have this information, no worries. You can fill out your application online, but you will need to print, sign, and mail and deliver the application to your county supervisor of elections. If you don't have access to a computer, I believe some libraries also have paper copies of the applications. I know I did that once. So definitely check that out if you need to. And that's your Nicole Knows. Let's all do our part and use our superpower, as Brother Love says. Go out and vote on November 8th. Once you register to vote tomorrow. I will be bringing early election and general election dates here very soon in Future Nicole Knows. Thank you, guys. Back to you.
Hey, thank you,
Miss
Mr. Cole.
Cole, as always. We appreciate you.
Right on point. Definitely on point. Hey, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to start off, and we're going to bring in our first guest, Greg.
So listen, tune in and follow us and come back and be a part of Let's Talk Nation. Coming up next.
Joe's European Quality Auto Repair. Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars, and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair specializes in European cars. Joe's Quality Auto Repair is located at 1240 State Road, 436 in Altamont Springs. Stop paying a king's ransom for your foreign auto repairs. Call Joe's Quality Auto Repair, mention Let's Talk Nation, and he'll beat certified dealership repair quotes by 30%. Call Joe's Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040 for the best affordable and guaranteed European auto repairs.
Back on Let's Talk Nation, and I see our executive producer, Greg. He's putting up some of them famous pictures from the Heart and Soul Festival.
No, absolutely. So listen, man, this weekend at the Heart and Soul Festival, which was in the great metropolis of Apopka, Florida, the second largest municipality in Orange County.
Absolutely.
The Heart and Soul Festival brought to our great city Cut Close.
Mm-hmm.
It also brought together, Brother Love, a lot of local talent, one of which is one of our good friends, can't call him young, but Brother Sam Reddick, who was there, also brought in Confunction, brought in Leela James, also brought in the Ozzy Brothers for a fantastic night. And so, I mean, it was a great time, Brother Love.
It was, but you know what, Greg? I know you kind of just diminishing what you did that night, but Colonel, and I'm going to let Greg make the introduction, but Greg was moving around that place. He had this camera that was big enough to knock a person out.
Oh, my gosh. He didn't hurt anybody,
I don't know.
Just my back. My back, Colonel.
But he was moving and grooving, man. And for those of you who don't know, Greg has reached the level of being a published photographer. And Greg, I don't know what you're doing with releasing or disclosing the photos from it. But, hey, man, people need to see that.
Listen, I was brought in. I was given press credentials to photograph the event. So it was for public consumption. Okay. So I am putting them on my Facebook page. If anyone that was at the event calls me and says, hey, do you have a picture of this? That's what it's about, getting the word out. Because next year, Brother Love, we're hoping to double the attendance from this year. And the only way we do is to keep getting the word out.
Well, keep to get the word out and bring someone like me, because I will win this.
And speaking of that, speaking of getting the word out, and we can't say all that without saying thank you to Paul Billings once again, because he made that happen. And Greg, the final numbers are not in, but I know the night of the event, they were talking about 3,800. I do believe they reached that 4,000 mark.
Listen, I took pictures of the crowd, Brother Love.
So
I have pictures of the crowd. I walked that crowd. And I can tell you, if it's not 4,000, it's one shot.
It's one shot.
It's one shot. No less than one shot.
Brother Jackson, I'm going to let you make these incredible introductions, man, because nobody does it like you.
Listen, there's not a whole lot that we can say about this gentleman. We had a chance to speak to him a couple of weeks ago on the show, but we have in the studio with us none other than Colonel Calvin Wimbish. He is a candidate for U.S. Congress, House District 10. Colonel, it's great to see you again. How's everything going?
God is good all the time, and all the time God is good.
Amen.
And when he told
you know, this is a Christian radio station.
That's it. I may have to hire you as a photographer because I am blazing. The Lord has been good. The churches that before I didn't know if I could get through are opening their doors, inviting me in, because they know that their constituents, their congregation need to know who they are dealing with when it comes to good versus bad, right versus wrong. And in my mind, sometimes good versus evil.
But now, Colonel, is now the time that you really and truly want to be in Congress with everything that's going on? I mean, gas prices going through the roof. OPEC last week just decreased production by 2 million barrels a day. We couldn't get our leadership, the administration to convince them to do more, and our administration is not going to provide more oil from our own reserves. Do you really want to be in Congress?
Oh yeah, you forgot I'm the old Green Beret. I don't know how to cower and turn away. I know go into harm's way, because what do? We want to deliver. Come on, Wimbish. The oppressed. Our nation is oppressed right now. And I've always known that when there's an oppression going on, someone has to step up to the plate. And God called me, God knows, back a year and plus a month ago, when those 13 young kids died there in Afghanistan. All I saw was myself in that very same quarter, and they died needlessly. And the withdrawal was really ridiculous. I knew that God told me, giving you all the skill sets, I've given you all the tools and the readiness. I was preparing you for something you couldn't handle years ago. Left the teaching, 2.5 years ago, had no employment. But when he woke me up, says, go to work. I knew I can go and take those transferable skills from the military, from corporate America. Gosh, I've been blessed. I rose up into leadership all the way up to full rank of colonel, helicopter pilot. In fact, my combat boots have more experience than this 25-year-old who's coming against me. I was already training men and women at 20 years old when I left Morgan State College, got pinned as second lieutenant, put me on the ground in the 82nd, said, go forth, learn what you need to do. Experience comes with, you can't teach experience. You have to earn it. And I've earned it. And I just want the people to know that you need someone who knows how to deal at the strategic level, know how to make decisions that are going to be critical, that's going to impact the people's lives. You were just talking about the economy. It's out of whack. How can you make a decision between gas in your car or food on the table? And a lot of people can't just turn over and go electric because they want to just stop all the fossil fuels. Let me think. Oh, the generators that's going to generate the electrical power. Oh, we'll figure that out in some other way. But you need all the different resources to make sure that we can have balance. And people can't have balance when you just shut down that, because that causes a trickle effect. Ships are still out at sea. Can't bring the items that we need on our grocery shelves to port. Trucks can't roll on the road. Stores can't have the items. Moms and dads have to feed their kids. Schools are open. They need clothes on their back. And now we have natural events like the Hurricane Ian. And I was out the very next morning down at One Blood donating blood, asking people on all my social media platforms, let's get involved. Time out on political world. It's about the people. And that's why I'm blessed to have this opportunity to step up to the plate, go to Congress and break this hole that there are people on both sides who are doing the wrong things right and doing it well. But I was taught, always do the right things right and do it right the first time. I'm going to be the advocate for the people. And that's what I told all the churches in the last several months, both the Hispanic churches, the Black churches, even the Asian temples. I was talking to Cook Foshi. She is one of the leaders in the Asian community and the Vietnamese community. She came out of Vietnam, was in prison for 4 years for being a spy for America. That lady's come here with the heart of gold. And she wants only the best for the people, not just the Vietnamese people, but for all. And she's out there speaking up for me. And I thank her for that. And there's Black ministers, and I could name them all, but they all know who they are. When they open the door, and before someone like me, who's a Frederick Douglass Republican, allows me to come and just, here I am, investigate me, understand me, but know what I'm trying to bring to the table. It's not about me. It's about the people who said, help me. I'm here to help.
Colonel, we want the audience to hear from you tonight, and that is the reason why we have you back.
Thank
you.
You
Said something that's right on point, based on a bunch of conversations Greg and I have had, but conversations that we've had with our listeners that are critical thinkers. And so if you would continue to tell this listening audience about what your vision is once you get to Washington.
My vision is, first of all, I'm going to stop this divisiveness that is causing us heartbreak at the table in the federal office. I want to return to power, as the 10th Amendment tells, back to the states. The federal government has taken over everything, and the states have kind of acquiesced as well. The federal government, no, governors, get off your butt and do your job for your people. Everything that we're fighting about, we're saying we can't control. The interest rates are going up. They already talked about the oil. You've got parents who are wondering, what do I do with my next generation child? They took Roe v. Wade and put it back where it never should have started 50 years ago. It is the decision of the states. And when you have a life, a precious life, even I think about my opponent whose mom gave him life when she could have done harm to him. She could have aborted him, but you don't do that. She gave him an opportunity. And when I look into his eyes, he's got a sparkle there. And I'm saying, Lord, you gave that boy an opportunity to come forward and try to represent something, but he has to prove himself every day. You have to be David before Goliath, but not just be one who's going to just give a lot of rhetoric. Show me what you can do. Show me how you've done it. Finish your education. Get out there. Get your hands dirty. I've been behind the plow. And then, like I said in Luke chapter 9 and verse 51 through 56, and the last verse says, no, man, you can't plow that field looking backwards. Too many people are looking backwards for what was wrong versus looking forward for what needs to be right.
Colonel, I gotta interrupt you. I've gotten 3 different chats in here. People are saying they like what they're hearing. They want you to turn and face the camera because they want to know who they're hearing from.
I just love looking at these 2 wonderful guys because they put between a rock and a hard place. But you know what? God is my center, and I can break that rock in a hard place in a minute. but I want the people to know for you, I'm here. Not about me. It's above me. It's about all of us who are feeling the pain. I don't care if you've been lucky and blessed to have a nice home or you're down and you live down on the farm and you don't have very much. You've been out in the flood right now with the hurricane. Let me tell you this. God loves all of us, but he also says in the Bible, a man's got to work to eat. I want you to get off your butt, because I'm just going to call a spade. As my dad told me on the farm, you got to know the difference between a hoe and a spade. And if you use the wrong one on the field, you're going to ruin the crop, boy. And we're not going to have that. We're not going to ruin America's next step by not being faithful and understanding and being real to yourself and your family. You know, you can rise above your circumstances. All of us are examples of that. These men I bet you if you read their books, and I hope you're writing one, and you're going to help me with my pictures in mind. You read their stories. No one spared the rod to spoil these men. I'm asking you, moms and dads out there, those who feel like no one cares. I care. You want God to care for you. Listen, get on your bending knees sometimes. Sometimes it does hurt to get on your knees, but the truth may hurt, but it sets you free. And I want to set our nation free by letting you know I'm going to be an advocate, write the bills, support bills, and I have a policy. The first thing I want to do is get our pipeline going again. Second thing I want to do is make sure that our veterans are taken care of and our elderly. No more mandates. And let's turn that power out of the federal government back to the states. Education, school choice. Parents should not believe, oh, you're a domestic terrorist. Wrong answer. I didn't live for this country for 30-some years, putting on a uniform, going out and trying to defend and protect people I don't even know. People would call me a baby killer. I've never killed a baby in my life. But what I have done was spare life so that I could come back to an America that gives us the freedom. That Constitution that you need to read, every school needs to teach it. Get back to civics. Get back to the basics. I could ramble on for the rest of the night. I'm just saying, let's go into the fight. My sleeves are rolled up. There's nothing up my sleeve but God's gift and willpower to put my hands at work, my brain at work for the people. I'm not going for form or fashion. I will walk away from that job if they try to use me and abuse me and not stand up and do what the elected people, the people who elect me to go to Congress, want me to do.
So now, Colonel, let me ask a question. Are there any debates that are scheduled for you and Mr. Frost?
We tried to do a couple of debates, West TV. In fact, I'm just going to call it like it was. I was all scheduled to go and they canceled it. There's something about, they had some global policy that they had to follow, that if you come into that facility that's owned by an international company, you have to prove that you've had the vaccine, not once, not twice, but multiple times. I'm saying, excuse me, I have a HIPAA law that protects me. I don't go by the international law.
Wait, hold on.
Yes.
Stop. So there was a debate that was playing, and West 2 News, that's over in the town of Eatonville, said that you couldn't enter the building if you didn't have multiple.
You had to prove that you had multiple vaccine COVID. In fact, there were 2 other candidates, Republican candidates. In fact, in the Sentinel this weekend, they wrote an article about that. And they're saying the Republicans are somehow not wanting to do debates. And that's a trend that's happened across the country. Wrong answer. When you put conditions on us and then you try to tell people you can't come in my studio because you haven't proved, and you give up your medical rights, your privacy information.
Interesting.
That's the wrong thing to do. And they escorted candidate Barney Jackson. They escorted her out of the building.
So, Colonel, let me just ask this. I mean, I hear that. Okay. So there's no debates?
There's a debate. We finally had, I did one on Zoom with him about a month ago.
Okay.
And if you go to the YouTube, you'll see that somehow there was some technical issues where my face was not seen for a good portion of that. And they put a little image of me in a circle. And then somewhere down the line, when just before the debate was almost over, oh, there I am, in a fog-like an aura around me, and my synchronization of my mouth and what was coming out wasn't exactly what it.
Now, what organization put that debate on?
Oh, that was the Sentinel.
Now I'm gonna tell you. Now I'm gonna tell you what's interesting about what I'm hearing, Brother Love. Just today, I heard. And I'm a Democrat, but I'm a Democrat who likes fair play across the board.
Amen.
And because at some point in time, I wouldn't want done to me what others are having done to them. So I will always want things to be fair. But I heard just today that some Democratic parties or some Democratic organizations have established 51 fake news organizations across the country, and that they're putting news out there that is basically satire, but other news agencies are picking it up to make it seem as if they're real stories.
Exactly.
This is, listen, this is a type of dirty pool that no one should be accepting of. I don't care about party affiliation or anything like that. We should be able to hear from the candidates that will best represent our community,
Right,
regardless of party.
I agree. And they even got some, I call it these this TikTok. You should, it's laughable because they got surrogates out there putting garbage out, calling me the extremist because I believe in life from conception till death. I'm an extremist. And then they have these idiots coming on there, popping up with their little faces, doing their little TikTok thing and taking segments out of his website to show what his position is on each issue that he stands for, but nothing about, hey, I want to abort children. Hey, I want to get rid of OPD. And he does want to get rid of OPD. He wants to legalize narcotics, meaning he wants to start with marijuana, make it legalized, and then have prostitution become a legal act. Young ladies don't have to go to school because they're going to become a prostitute upon graduating or maybe not graduate. It's all in his website. Go look at it. Go to Maxwell Frost. Compare what he's doing to what the Lord said we need to do. I'm a God-fearing and God-loving man, and I'm going to call a spade, as I said earlier. But we cannot play this game, not only with his generation, but all the generations, men and women like us, and people like my parents who are in their 90s. I don't see how he's going to enable us to see when he goes to Congress, he's going to make and legislate laws that's going to be beneficial for all the people. Our borders are wide open. Over 1 million gotaways are in the country right now. We're already seeing crime rising up all over the place.
Well, speaking of crime, though, Colonel, and I don't know if you all have heard the story, but apparently, down in Lee County, the hardest of hit from Hurricane Ian, there have been looters that have come through. Now, the looters aren't the good people of Lee County, but apparently 4 out of the 3 looters that were recently caught were illegal immigrants. And then they just recently had a story that came out, and there was some discrepancy in the story about whether they were still in high-end speakers or high-end sneakers. Ends up it was high-end sneakers. and each one of those individuals that were arrested for doing that were Hispanics that they suspect were illegal aliens or illegal immigrants.
Right. So
Colonel, what is it about the border not being secure that we need to get a handle on, and why?
Too easy. Number one, when you got people who have come through the front door, like I came into your studio, they didn't try to come through the window or through the back wall. They didn't find themselves in your house eating your food. That's what's happening with like I said, over 1 million gotaways never got caught. Or the other 1 million, they put them on buses and planes and shipped them all over the country, dropped them off in the middle of the night, even right here in Orlando several times. And no one knows about it. And they're walking the streets. Some are laying underneath the bridges right now. And they're the ones that are out there panhandling. They're trying to make it with nothing because in a strange country, don't speak English, have no intention to do so. And how are you going to manage them? And they say, oh, come back when your time is up for us to evaluate or assess whether or not you're worthy to be an American. Wait a minute. If you wanted to do, you come in the front door like those who stood in line and doing it. I have too many friends who are here on their legal with their green cards waiting to get into America. They love this country. They want it, but they're now being jeopardized in terms of the jobs that many people who are born here don't want to take. It's beneath them. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, my arm did not slough off from cleaning toilets. It gave me wisdom, actually, to realize, like, what, you got to do what you got to do. And when my boss came and told me at 16 and a half, you like what you're doing, boy? I didn't jump all up because I was a boy. I said, no, sir, that's what you're paying me to do. Oh, okay. Well, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Well, I said, I don't want to do this all my life, but I was hoping I can move on and maybe go to college. Stop what you're doing and follow me. Within 10 minutes, I was following him through the store up to the 3rd floor. He walks through the warehouse door, says, starting tomorrow, you're going to be a salesman in a record stereo and the department. I was selling all of Temptation songs.
And Greg, the same thing that we talked about with Lady Drina just recently getting aboard is the same thing here, is that hard work.
Hard work
get
pays
rewarded
off.
from hard work.
Yeah.
Doors open. And, the more you sit back and give me money, you keep printing other people's money, you're going to run out of my money and your money. And then taxes are going to go up. They're already saying another 0.75 is going to happen on the interest rate. And then people that want to get a home can't afford it because the interest rate is so out of wild. They're going to have to stay where they are. People can't afford to move. And then we got areas in our community that are flooding that never should have been still flooding after all these years. I know about the red zones. And if you don't know, you need to go back and teach history for your local community. Let's get civics back into school. There's just too much lost knowledge, and people think there's no heroes for them. I mean, like I said, all three of us could be your heroes out there. You got Frederick Douglass, you got George Washington Carver, you've got Martin Luther King, you got the man who established Tuskegee Institute. Let me think, man, he is just the apple of the eye. Slaves who realized then what we ought to be realizing today, that you can rise above your circumstance. People, get ready. There's a train a coming. I don't want to start singing the song, but you know.
I know the song. I know the song.
And the train is liberty and freedom. Listen, our Constitution gives it to us. Young men, young women, older men, women, do what Martin Luther King once said. Let's all join together. Black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, boys and girls. Put your hands together. Put your heart together. It's not the color of your skin. It's the content of your character that's really going to matter in this world. We can save America starting again. And I say something different than most. I want America to be better than it's ever been before. Now, you can call it what it is, but I want to know this. If you're in it to win it, vote for Cal at votecal2022.org. If you want to let our nation begin and continue to deteriorate, that God forbid, Venezuela was the richest country in South America, and look at it now, because exactly what we're going through is happening to America.
Wow. Well, Colonel, I was going to pass the baton, but you know how to take it and run.
Hey,
you did an excellent closing. But before, and Greg normally makes these introductions, but you got a friend in the engineering booth. What do you think about this next guest that's going to be coming on?
I think this person is awesome, blessed, and highly favored by the man above, who gave us life and gives us the ability to realize that he's always been there. Remember the footprints in the sand. They're not yours. He's been carrying you. People, let's get off of Jesus' back. Let's get down and walk with him. Hold on to his unchanging hand, and you'll be surprised. No, you'll be pleasantly surprised that God is always there with you, and he's with me. And I will go into the valley of the shadow of death. I fear no evil. Bring it on.
All right.
Greg, is this guy running for Congress? Because I know my father-in-law, the good Reverend Richard King, gonna say he sounds like he about to get into the pool.
But Mom says I got a shingle in heaven just because I don't have it on earth. And if I can't get to the pulpit, maybe I'll just come back and sit in for Brother Love here.
Hey,
God bless you.
To the listening audience, you were just listening to Colonel Calvin Wimbush.
Wait, tell them where you can find them also, Colonel.
You can go to votecal2022.org. That's VOTECAL 2022.org. Some people try to make a spoof on my website, but the C stand for Christian, Conservative, and Constitutionalist. The A, I always say, listen, I'm blessed to be born in America, America first, for that reason, because it gives me a chance to rise above my circumstances. And the L is for loyalty to my flag and to you, the constituents out there, who will make a difference. Come November the 8th, go to votecal2022.org. Love everyone out there. Would love to come back. In fact, on November the 9th, I expect them to be having me here first thing in the morning. And that night, I'm not getting any sleep until that's all said and done.
That's all
hey,
right.
to the Let's Talk Nation listen audience, hey, look, go vote experience and not entertainment.
Amen. Yes.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back on Let's Talk Nation.
Daybreak iFix. Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair. I specialize in European cars. Daybreak iFix at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair. Located at 1240 State Road 436 in Altamont Springs. Daybreak iFix. Call me, mention Let's Talk Nation and bring your certified dealership repair quote. And I beat by 30%. Remember, Daybreak iFix. Call me at Joe's European Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040. After Daybreak iFix. Joe's European Quality Auto Repair.
Hey, welcome back to Let's Talk Nation. I'm your man, Rod Love. Sitting across the table from me is none other than the General. And General,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna pass the baton. Do your duties, brother.
Listen, I appreciate it. Right now, you just had a chance to listen to Colonel Calvin Wimbush, but now we have one of our local favorites who's in the studio with us. He is a former commissioner for the city of Apopka, the second largest municipality in Orange County, and this is none other than. But hold on, brother Love. He has a greater assignment. Let me take a step back. He has a greater assignment outside of being a great husband and a great father, but he is also a pastor.
Yes.
I am.
And so in the studio with us right now, we have none other than Pastor candidate Doug Bankson.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
How's
So
it
welcome,
going?
welcome to the show.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what. I don't know how I can follow that last one. Though. That was awesome. Hit it out of the park.
So let's just jump right into this.
Okay.
All right. Pastor Bankson and I have known each other for a while, and this is what I like about Pastor Bankson. We don't always agree. And he does not have a problem with if there's an issue that we have or there's something that a disagreement. He has never had a problem with picking up the phone and saying, Greg, what that we don't agree with. If we can bridge the gap, let's do it. If we can't, let's just part and understand that we have our differences.
That's the type. I heard a program called "Let's Talk About It." And that's what God says. Let's come and let us reason together. I think that's what we're missing, even in our politics. We're like World War I, where we're literally 10 feet from one another, popping up and shooting back and forth, instead of talking through these things. Truth has its own legs. Truth can stand on its own. And when we embrace truth, and if we can present truth will ring on the inside when you hear it.
Yeah.
And so if we can get past, all of the animosity and just get beyond the rhetoric as well and really talk and be real with one another, I think many times we can come closer together in those things and get things done.
Yeah. Now, Pastor, you're running for Florida House District 39.
I am, yes.
You stepped
and I'm
away.
still actually serving as commissioner.
Really?
Is it November?
Oh, because it's not that time yet.
Right up until the 7th is when I'll step down.
Okay. So I said former, but it is still commissioner for the city of Apopka. Very nice. So apparently you still haven't been to a commission meeting. I just told on myself and didn't even know it. But what prompted you to make this, to take on this next challenge to go to Tallahassee?
Well, again, to me, it's all about public service. And that's why I did, as a commissioner, that's why I jumped in here. I been a pastor for 27 years here in the city. And, you see different needs. You see a practical way that you can meet those. God cares about our eternity. He cares about our spirit, but he cares about bread on the table. He cares about the everyday life. And so I saw that, there was an ability to make a difference, and I began to move forward there. And so as this began to come before us, an open seat, I've always seen that, locally we deal with ordinance, we deal with certain practical things, but on the state level, there's something that we can deal with that's even at a higher level, the laws that govern. And, God gave us laws. I like to say it this way. It's like a football field. God, we call it the laws of nature, and nature is God. This is what our Western law is founded upon. And it's really under attack right now. And basically a football field, if you cross the goal, then you score. But wait, there's also sidelines. And God has given us practical ways that we can interact with one another. And that's his laws. That's the overriding laws. So man has right to make laws within those boundaries. And to begin to see where God's laws are just being thrown out the window and it's creating havoc. And so when we come back to that and say, well, wait a minute, this is what we're able to do, then we can get it across the finish line. We can score.
Absolutely. Commissioner, if you would, because of redistricting, can you let our audience know what all is involved in District 39? What other municipalities or cities within 39?
Well, District 39, our district before used to kind of split Apopka in half. And of course, we've seen that literally in this level where we're trying to come together as a city. And so, I don't know, maybe it's a little prophetic thing. I don't know. But our district now is quite a large district. It goes from Mount Dora all the way to I-4 along the Lake County line, south of Lake County, at the Orange County, part of Seminole. It comes down through Longwood and a little bit of Altamont over to Lockhart. At Lockhart, it begins to go around much of Ocoee, but not all of it.
Right.
And we have that strip, and it goes all the way down to Winter Garden, to Highway 50 and just around there to Oakland. So it's quite a large district, but Apopka now is the very center of that district. And it just seemed to be that natural step for me because I do love Apopka. And I've lived here for 30 years. This is home. We've raised our kids here, now grandkids. I'll tell you, that's the best thing ever happened to me. That's my favorite title is Papa. But I care about the life they're going to lead and the America that they live in. And so to me, there's some important issues that we see there that can affect us all and keep us moving forward. So to me, it's about being a representative. I really like that term, the House of Representatives. We represent the voice of the people here. What is it that we need as a community, as a whole, as everyone coming together, and then to be able to go and advocate for those things.
Yeah. Commissioner, I'm going to say this to you. I've watched you and observed you over all these years. And one of the things, man, I will say that has not changed about you, you got to, kind of guide me with this. I know that there's this adage or cliche that says in order to be friends, you got to show yourself to be friendly.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And no matter what, man, you are in all the right places and all the right spaces. Greg, he was at the back to school and the senior recognition over Lonzo Williams Park.
Yeah, it was at the gala.
Yeah, But my point is, man, you will impose from a perspective that, hey, you're saying, just talk to me. Tell me what some of the issues are so we can work together on resolving them. And that's the style I love.
I just love that. I guess I really do love people. God loves us. He so loved us, he gave his son. And, we're supposed to do that. We're supposed to care about our neighbor. And again, there's so many things that, when people explode at you, sometimes you don't know what they've been walking through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if we take it personal and get all, get our back up, we let pride get in there, it just keeps us all divided. Well, Satan just loves that one, but if we can get past that and just listen and say, you know what, I know you took a swing at me, but hey, maybe you're going through, let's talk about it.
Right.
And that's why I love what you guys are doing. And this is beginning to happen. I think people are just getting really weary of just all of the warfare and just say, can we just get something done? We can find that place that we can agree on and let's do something. Let's move forward. And, the first, my first race, that really was what rose up in my heart, forward together. I really want to do that. And again, we won't all, my wife doesn't always agree with me on everything, but she can be wrong sometimes.
You better hope she's not listening.
I don't know if you were listening to the show earlier with, Lady Drina, who, man, she's winning award after award, but she's familiar with the good work that you've done. And I hope that I would ask that you speak to this from an education perspective. Two of her kids went to your school.
Yeah.
And so what is your vision for education?
Well, the two main topics for me, and interesting, they're the two main topics that are dealing with people, is the economy and education. And again, I've always been fiscal. I like to think long term. I'm an instrument rated pilot, and you have to plan ahead. And you have to plan for things. The weather's not going to be the same as when you plan, when you get there, and you have to have an alternate. So you have to think long term. And so my wonderful grandmother, she just turned 104 this July, and she's a lifelong educator. And education is just a key to the future for, you see all of these kids, and if they have an opportunity, everyone's made in the image of God. There's something amazing in every single person. I believe that with all my heart. And if we can just give them those keys to help them become what they're called to be. So we started school back in 2020, and actually a few years before that with just my own kids. And now we've grown to over 270 students. We'd be larger, except the building is too small. So we just bought 46.8 acres to expand. We have a vision for a 1,500 student campus. But for me, it's about finding what works for each individual child. And who knows that best? Their parents.
You're right.
And so we need to empower parents. And I love that we have much of that already operating here in the state of Florida. We're very blessed here in our education. In fact, over 70% in Miami-Dade, down in the southern region, 70% have gone to a school choice where they found, you know what, this school over here has a program that's best for my child. And they're able to do that. We're empowering them. It's not to undercut our public school system. It's to work together, and everyone becomes better. So you have public, you have charter, you have private. There's opportunities, but the bottom line is we need to make sure that we create multiple paths for success. Because some children, they're called on to the higher education and going and getting degrees and pursuing different callings there. But then there are others who are called in that vocational realm, and it's not lesser. In fact, some of them are making more money than the one who still are much in debt, with all the college debt. The bottom line is what fits the child, and let the parent make that decision. We actually have an aviation program that we started this fall, and looking forward, we've been working. You and I know we talked about that. It's like they're looking for the building once they get that scholarship programs that a young man, young woman can start as a junior in high school. By the time they graduate, they have an aviation mechanics degree. You don't have to go in the air to be involved in aviation.
That's true.
And there's actually more of a need for mechanics than there are pilots, and we know there's a shortage in pilots. So that's just one area, and so we have a specialized program there. They can graduate with that degree. Literally within within a year of graduating, they're making six figures. It's like, man, I would have liked that right out of high school, you know.
Yeah.
And also, if they're going in the military, they'll automatically jump in rank. They are just a few hours short of an AA degree in college. So it just opens lots of opportunities. We need STEM programs. We need STEAM programs. We need all these opportunities for them. But you know what we need most? We need God back in the schools.
Oh, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Commissioner, I'm going to say to you, Greg and I, you know, we have an open door policy to the community. And we were engaged by, I don't know what SAC stand for. It's one of the organizations that support the local schools and the PTA. They addressed us with a school in our community that went from a D to a B+.
Yes.
Great success. And then they went to a meeting the last couple of weeks and they found out that all of the resources that the school received when they were a failing school are gone because they're and so you know what Greg and I told
that's
them?
my economic side.
And so after, because I'm gonna speak it into existence, after you are elected, we told those same folk, make sure you set up an appointment to see Representative Doug Bankston to have those conversations because you understand education, but more so than sponsoring legislation, we told these folk, you know how to champion legislation.
You know, it's common sense. And unfortunately, it's becoming more uncommon nowadays. But common sense solutions to real world problems. What is the issue? Let's look at that and let's find the solution for that. You know, you mentioned that about funding. And this is something that as I've been going through this race, I've found in multiple places. Of course, we just came through the COVID fiasco. You know, it's been hard on everyone. And thankfully, we've got a state that has opened up and people are able to create resources. We've had a tremendous overage in our reserves, which is a policy that I've pushed here locally to make sure that we can deal with contingencies. But one of the things that I found is we have different funds. We've kind of robbed Peter to pay Paul. You know, maybe we've all been there at some time in our life. Well, the government kind of did that just to get through. And so funds that were just, you know, supposed to be for this have been used over here. And, you know, the Sadowski Fund for housing, you know, we've got to put it back. I call it a Jenga block. You know, have you ever played Jenga and you start pulling those things? I mean, it's just a little wind could just blow that thing over. We've got to put the blocks back. We've got to put the funding back where it was intended for and get everything, you know, right. So when it comes to that type of a funding, we need to look at it and say, well, we don't want to, you know, see success and then pull the rug out from under.
Right.
You know, and in fact, I've been a part of that board and I believe it. Can we say the school name?
Yeah, absolutely, because they deserve it.
I'll tell you, I just love that school. I love the history. It's so rich in history.
Yes.
And Phyllis Wheatley, she's an amazing woman. And the things that have come out of that school. And so it just tore my heart when I began to see it was struggling and almost to fail, and got involved on that board and you know, for a season, and then Commissioner Smith got on, and he and I as commissioners, you know, sometimes we can't be in the same place, you know, because of sunshine. So, but you know, I remember sitting there in the meeting. And I kind of think it was an inspiration from the Lord, but I just saw the name Wheatley, and it's WHEATLEY, and the AT turned into an A+. And I said, you can't spell Wheatley without A+ right in the middle of it. And we started talking about that, and they were talking about trying to go up a grade. I said, what do you mean just up one grade? We're going to go to A+ in this place. If people believe they can achieve, I mean, that's really what the core of faith is. We're made in the image of God, everyone. And I believe when that dream starts, if you can just see it, you can attain it. And so I'm just so pleased with that. Of course, the administration, the principal, and all of the teachers worked so hard. The community's starting to believe.
And when you say community, Greg and I couldn't do it justice without naming these folk. Roger Becker, who is a community stakeholder, and I always mess up her name, Greg, but Antonia Williams, who's on the PTA, and also Othello Swift. Those are the folk that are going to be knocking on your door, and we're encouraging them to knock on your door because we know you're going to champion issues out there. And when you talk about Sadowski Fund, that's right up Greg's alley.
Yeah.
But you're familiar with the history of CRAs.
Yeah.
I mean, you're prepared and ready to go to Tallahassee.
And again, a CRA is a perfect example. There's funding set aside to do a specific task. So if we can get the funding back where it needs to be and put it to work with what it was intended to do, and then if there's still gaps, then we can look at that and say, okay, what do we need to do to make the best better?
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, though, Pastor, it has been great having you in, talking to us. Tell folks how they can find you, what they can do to assist you on the campaign trail.
Well, we made it easy. DougBankson.com, DougBankson, no T in there, even though it looks like the cross. DougBankson.com. And you can get involved there. You can be a part of the campaign. You can donate. We definitely put all that to work. In fact, we've got a fundraiser coming up on the 24th. I mean, we're just going, running nonstop, past the finish line. Okay. And I've told people, I'm going to run my whole life and I'm not going to stop at the pearly gates. I'm going to bounce off the backside of heaven and then come back out. So, we work hard, and it's a privilege to me. It's an honor to serve and to represent the people. And so this is a job interview. I tell everyone when I knock on the door and ask them, have I done good? Are you ready to hire me? And I just love that interaction. And so I look forward to be able to be there. And what do we need and what can we advocate for?
Well, Commissioner, I'm gonna end it on this. When we talk about looking at the body of your work, you've done well, my friend, and continue the great work. If you're listening to Let's Talk Nation right now, you are listening to City Commissioner Doug Bankston, who also happens to be a candidate for House District 39. Hey, go vote.
Yes.
Vote. Greg, we're going to take a quick break, but Commissioner Bankston, hey, thank you for coming on Let's Talk Nation, and you're always welcome.
Thank you. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Hey, look at that camera real quick, Commissioner, and tell folk what you want them to know going out, because we're going to take a commercial right here.
Hey, it's all about life and liberty. God gave us life and he gave us liberty, and we need to stand up for our rights. Don't just sit back and just wait for something to happen. You have a voice. Get out there and vote. And on November 8th, we need you to vote for us. And we're just so looking forward to being a servant and getting out there and serving for you. So look forward to it.
All right. Hey, we'll be right back on Let's Talk Nation. Hey, thank you, Commissioner. We appreciate having you.
I don't know. Look at her. She's a crackhead. Figured she might have a weapon.
What did she try to steal?
I caught her trying to put this under her coat.
Community Resource Connector by CSG. Social services, community policing, and social justice. Did you try and steal the bread?
My husband sold our link card and I don't have any money. I'm not a drug addict. I just wanted to make my boy a sandwich.
You gonna arrest her or what?
CRC is a real-time resource tool for human service professionals, law enforcement, juvenile justice, child welfare, education, traditional and non-traditional not-for-profits.
How much is the bread?
$1.50.
Now is the time to build new organizational relationships through wraparound services that produce measurable outcomes. Here you go.
Community Resource Connector by CSG, the effective way people help people.
Hey, welcome back to Let's Talk Nation. Hey, man, Greg, man, great guest tonight, man.
Yeah, listen, this is all about getting the information out to voters so that they can make informed decisions. And once again, it's not always to just vote party. Sometimes you have to look at the people and determine if those individuals speak to your specific needs, so those individuals speak to your moral compass. And if so, don't look at party, look at the person to make that determination. As I said, I'm a Democrat, but I've been known to vote. I never vote independent, but I have been known to vote not just Democrat, but Republican, because sometimes the Democrat may carry or a Republican may carry my values more so than the Democratic candidate. So.
We need to have more conversation like that, Greg. Greg, we hit on this, and I know we only have a few minutes left, but Greg, the music festival, brother.
Listen, again, the music festival was a great festival, Brother Love. And, Let's Talk Nation, we have grown by leaps and bounds, Brother Love, and individuals listen to us, and individuals rely and they depend on our voice. And I had someone, and I'm not going to mention the person's name, but I had someone to approach me at the music festival. And, quite frankly, one of the things that the person said was, why are you such a fan of Brian Nelson? If the prior mayor was sitting in the seat, you would be slamming that mayor because there's still some things that are in the city of Apopka that haven't changed. And why is it that you are a champion or a fan of Brian Nelson? And it just made me sit back and it made me think, Brother Love. And one of the things that it made me think about was, am I the Greg Jackson that I was 5 years ago? Now, granted, I am known to be a fireplug. I am known to bring issues to the forefront, and I will speak out loudly and I will speak out consistently about the issues that are taking place in the community. But what I've learned over the past 4 years in that our responsibility is to be less divisive. When we first got on the air, Brother Love, I was very boisterous, divisive, outspoken, and different things like that. But what I found is that sometimes I have to take a step back, and as opposed to being the divisive Greg Jackson, I have to be the calm voice Greg Jackson, so that we continue to bring people in the community together.
With time comes wisdom too.
And listen, so to that person, listen, I apologize. I'm not the Greg Jackson I was 5 years ago. There are things that I see that need to be worked on, and I will continue to be the voice for those things, but not in the way I used to be. And not quite. I see you with the jacket. I'm sorry. I see you, Doc.
I'm doing like Horseshack. Ooh.
Don't forget, welcome back, Carter. I know the show.
That's an excellent question, and I can answer it if y'all don't mind.
Go ahead.
This is why if I don't live in Apopka now, but if I did, I would 100% support Brian Nelson. Here's why. I knew Mayor Land very well. Okay. I knew of Kilsheimer, and I know Mayor Nelson. Mayor Nelson is consistently that person who is going to give you the opportunity to authentically engage him. He's not going to brush you off. He's not going to push you back. He's going to listen. He's going to give you the answer that he can best give at that time, but he's going to consider what you said. So many politicians locally, they just nod, wink, and smile. He doesn't do that. And I'm not fanboying him. I want you to understand that this is authentically who he is. So he is going to always give you that opportunity to voice to him your concerns and your issues and not give you the brush off. And it's very few politicians locally that will afford you that opportunity.
Well, Doc, you hit it right on the head, man. And, I'm just going to chime in from the perspective of this. And I think City Commissioner Doug Bankston basically made mention of this. If there's some issues, let's sit down and talk about those issues. And Commissioner Bankston talked about, hey, he and his wife don't agree about everything. Me and my wife don't agree about everything, but I'm not about to leave her. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, let's be able to sit down around the table and, great, we're going to have uncomfortable conversations, but the goal is looking at how do we get the results.
But listen, bro, I saw one of the comments on the page where it said, ask the tough questions. This is not that forum, Brother Love. When we are brought in to moderate forums and to bring forth questions, that's when we put together the tough questions. Tonight is an opportunity to introduce these people or these candidates to the people.
Yeah,
it's not to bring them in and to tear them down and to say, what about this? What about that? That's what you have forums for. Mm-hmm. This is a program where we bring people in and we allow them to speak to our audience. Like I said, once before, if you would have caught me
4.5 years ago,
4.5 years ago, it would have been something different. But that's not how you get to know someone. Mm-hmm. You don't get to know someone by trying to get the gotcha moment. You get to know them by having real conversations, like Mayor Demmons.
Yeah.
A real conversation with Mayor Demmons when he came in and sat down and talked to us about his dad, almost 100, just turned 100 years old, about 100, him going to college, him being afraid that he was going to fail and what that meant to his family, him coming back to Central Florida, to Orlando, where he was born. That's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear gotchas.
You're right, Greg. But let me, I know we got 2 minutes, but let me also say this so that 1 minute, so the listening audience realize and know this. Greg, you and I, together and independent of one another, we've sat down with individuals, we have relationships, and we have those tough conversations as well.
Listen, it's not even people that we have relationships with sometimes. I have had backdoor conversations with people that I just don't agree with. Mm-hmm. And I don't put it in the public for public consumption, because just because you disagree with someone does not mean that you cannot work together on
You're
some
right.
other issues. So,
You're right.
you know, why would we come here? And listen, there are other candidates that we have invited to come here. And if they come, we're not going to treat them any differently. Let folks know who you are. That's what this program has evolved to be about, because people trust the voice of Let's Talk Nation, Brother Love and Greg Jackson. And so in them trusting our voice, we have to be able to let them know that this is a place where they can come and talk, that listeners can listen to individuals. But when we're talking about real issues now, when we're talking about the issues, that's something different. But when we're talking to people to introduce them to our audience, that's different. But I am not the same Greg Jackson that I was 5 years ago. Praise the Lord.
Nor should you be.
Praise the
Nor
Lord and
should you-
thank you, Jesus.
Hey, my brother, you know, I got to do this to you, Greg. I love you to death, brother.
I ain't going nowhere. I ain't going nowhere. You got to pull me out.
You're going to go tonight. Hey, Brother Shaw. My brother sitting across the table from me do not have to go home.
But you got to get out of here.
Until
Brother
next
Shaw wanted to kick me out.
No, not yet, but you got to go.
You gotta go. Hey, man, join us on Let's Talk Nation next week. We got a special show for you, and it's called Let's Get Off Them M&Ms.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. You know.